Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the third installment of the Free State Sports Podcast. Today we're going to talk about everything from NBA Finals to some MLB news. Angel Hernandez retired. We're going to talk about that. We're going to get into some pretty crazy NFL stuff. And then we're going to talk a little bit about professional wrestling. I'm here with Andrew, my one co-host for this episode. Saquon is not here. Andrew, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Saquon couldn't join us because he had other obligations.
We're going to miss him dearly.
We are. Shout out to Saquon. But we're going to start with the NBA Finals. It is going to be the Boston Celtics, which was my pick in the last episode, only because I picked the number one seed. And they're going to be taking on the Dallas Mavericks in the finals. So that'll be an interesting one. The guy to look out for in that one, in my opinion, is going to be Luka. He's coming in averaging 28.8 points per game, 9.6 rebounds per game, and 8.8 assists per game. On the other side, you got Jason Tatum, 26 points a game, 10.4 rebounds a game, and right around 6 assists per game. So it's going to be a showdown, but obviously there in Dallas, you also have Kyrie Irving. That pairing with Luka Doncic is a very, very deadly combination. So I have to stick to my guns because I already picked Boston, and I don't want to be a bandwagoner, but I got to say Dallas is looking pretty dominant. Did you catch any of the game at all? Any of the playoffs at all recently?
Not as of lately. There's been a lot going on in the sports world.
There has. It's hard to follow it all. I caught a little bit of it, but the Celtics, I believe, they won their last series 4-0, so they swept against the Pacers. Dallas almost swept. It ended up being 3-1, and then I believe they won the next game after that. So it's going to be two very, very powerful teams in the NBA. That should be a good setup for the finals. Now, series averages, Boston's averaging 111 points a game. Dallas is averaging about 108 for rebounds. They're damn near the same. 43.7 for Boston, 43.1 for Dallas. And assists, again, about the same, 23.6 for Boston and 22.4 for Dallas. So very even
It just seems
matchup.
like it's going to come down to Boston's overpowering offense.
Yeah, it's gonna be a showdown for sure. I think I don't know. It could come down to whoever is more has been bit harder by the injury bug. So I think the healthiest team is going to probably end up winning that series because I got them pretty even. Sticking to my guns though, I got to stick with the number one seed in the Boston Celtics. So that'll be fun to watch. I don't usually watch basketball like that, but I think I'm probably going to tune in for those finals. Speaking of basketball, LeBron James' agent has confirmed that he's officially a free agent this summer, and his son, Bronny James, has come out and said he's not going to sign a two-way contract, and his agent has confirmed that he's going to remain in the NBA draft. How do you feel about that, Andrew?
I pretty much said that in the last episode when we covered Bronny James's draft combine. He's definitely going to bring something to the table. Whether or not that is going to be skill or LeBron James himself to the table remains to be seen.
Right. Yeah, it's a very interesting situation following both that free agency and the Bronny James situation. I don't know if we've ever seen a father-son pairing in that situation before, at least not that I have in my generation. So that's interesting to follow. And I was looking into sort of the advantages and disadvantages of a two-way contract. Disadvantages are that it's sort of a more uncertain contract. They're a little bit more unpredictable. They can basically, shuttle you between NBA and G League based on team needs, so it's very unpredictable in that way. Limited financial security is another one, and you have less control over your playing time. So it's really a developmental type contract, and for whatever reason, Bronny James has said he doesn't want that. He wants the full-blown NBA contract.
Well, yeah, but to be fair, to weigh the good with the bad, it also improves upon his skill set, puts him more in a professional environment, playing against people on his caliber, but also it increases his odds of injury. Mm-hmm. And is that what you want going into your first NBA season, is a chance to get injured?
That's true. And I think for me, seeing his first scrimmage that he had at the Combine, I I can't help but feel that he's not quite ready to play at a high level in the NBA. The quote that he said that I have here is, "I don't care what team it is. I could be 1 or 58, but I do care about the plan, the development, team strategy, the opportunity, and the financial commitment. That's why I'm not doing a two-way deal." Every team understands that. That's coming straight from the horse's mouth. That's what Bronny said about not accepting a two-way contract. So I just don't know if he's in that type of position. If he was anybody else, if he wasn't the son of LeBron James, I don't know if it'd be looking too good for him. That's all I can say.
That's a fair assumption.
Yeah, I mean, I hate that for him, but I don't know. He hasn't shown me anything too crazy yet. I wish him the best, and I hope to see him succeed. Obviously, very big shoes to fill, and it would be cool to see him play with LeBron. But we'll see how all that shapes up. That's an interesting situation for sure. But we'll go into some MLB news. One of the most controversial men in sports, Angel Hernandez, has retired, reaching a financial settlement from the MLB. He's officially retiring from the MLB. How do you feel about that, Andrew?
Good. He's been on the wrong side of a lot of calls. In fact, a lot of people have him as the worst umpire of the year this year. Overall, he was doing pretty good in the MLB. He started dropping off, and I'm glad he finally retired, and his name's forever going to be tarnished.
Yeah, he actually, according to my research, he ranks 67th out of 85 umpires in correct call rate this year.
Accuracy, right? 93.2%.
Yeah. Near the end of last year, he ranked dead last. So,
he's also 70th out of 85 in consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets the expected correct call differential of 93% or minus 5.5, and that puts him in 76th place.
Yeah. Yeah, those are interesting numbers for a major league umpire. Very controversial. Obviously, he's been doing it for a very long time, so wish him a happy retirement. He basically said he wanted to spend more time with his family and that he's thankful for all that baseball have given him. I know there's a lot of people that are probably going to be very happy that he's no longer a part of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I mean, it was getting ridiculous. I practically saw a new Angel Hernandez meme every week since baseball season started, and it's all correct. Like, I've seen some outrageous calls he made, calling balls in the dirt strikes or way out of the strike zone strikes, and I don't watch too much baseball, but it really does ruin the game.
It does, and you see the players get fed up with it too.
Oh, yeah, and get kicked out. I mean, I don't know if you saw when he, I believe this was Angel Hernandez. If it's not, please correct me. But the ball pin, there was a guy in the ball pin clapping, right?
Mm.
And he said some stuff. Angel Hernandez turned around and said, kick someone out. Anybody. I don't care who, kick them out. No target, specifically just kick someone random out. How was that an okay call to make?
Yeah, that's a little bit of a power trip if I've ever heard one. I also don't watch that much baseball, but I've seen enough quote-unquote highlights of Angel Hernandez to know the type of calls he makes.
We call them lowlights.
Yeah, we shared some of those in our group chat with Saquon. Those compilations are hilarious. I mean, I've never seen something miss the strike zone by so much and be called a strike, and then vice versa. Something's right down the middle and it's called a ball. It's just absurd.
And don't you dare challenge his authority, or you get thrown out of the game.
I don't know who's going to fill his place, but it can only go up from here. So that's how I feel about it. But we got some news in the NFL world. 2021 Olympic gold medalist Gable Steveson has signed a deal as a defensive tackle with the Buffalo Bills.
Now, that's interesting. Where have I heard that name before?
Well, you may have heard that name from the 2021 Olympics, where he was the youngest freestyle wrestler to win gold as a super heavyweight. That was in Tokyo in 2021. More recently, he also had a brief stint with WWE I saw him have one match, I believe, on NXT, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been Raw. I can't remember. But he didn't do much there at all. I don't know if they just never had a plan for him or what. But
I think they tried to push him too much like another former Olympic gold medalist by the name of Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
And it flopped. People don't want a repeat of Kurt Angle.
Right. Yeah, he never quite reached that level, not even close to it. We never really even feel like they didn't really put anything together for him at all. They kind of showcased his abilities once or twice, very briefly, and that was about it. But now he's headed over to the NFL, which is interesting because he actually said he's never even worn a pair of cleats. So he's never played football at any level. And he just signed I believe it was an undrafted deal.
Yeah, it's for a rookie deal.
Yep, with the Buffalo Bills. That's very, very interesting. I don't know how to feel about that.
Did you happen to see the position he signed for?
What was that?
I believe it was for the defensive tackle position.
Yep.
Which would make him severely undersized for that position, being as the average NFL height for defensive tackle is 6'3", and the average weight is 309 pounds.
Yeah.
Through my research, he is 6'1", and 265 pounds.
Yep. Right around, mine said 266, so right around 255, 266. 265, 266. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. And the other thing is he's not really, I don't know his abilities. Obviously, he's an Olympic wrestler, so I don't want to shit-talk him too much.
Natural athlete, at the very least.
But does that translate to being a defensive tackle in the NFL? That's my question.
Unless the NFL is going to allow some German suplexes.
Yeah, I just feel like those two things are so much different. That I don't know. I mean, I wish him the best, and it'd be really cool if he does super well, but I got a feeling that he might not be around in the NFL for very long. That's my take. That's my hot take. But we got some more news. The Dolphins have extended Jaylen Waddle. They agreed to terms on a 3-year extension worth $84.75 million, including $76 million guaranteed. How do we feel about that?
I feel absolutely great if I'm a Miami Dolphins fan.
Yeah.
Jaylen Waddle was always that huge question because you already have Tyreek Hill. You have Tua, who is turning out to be a really good quarterback before they brought Tyreek Hill in, and now you brought Tyreek Hill in, who is the number one receiver in the NFL. And now Jaylen Waddle is a really good number 2. He could be a number 1 on any other team, but you got him for an amazing deal.
Yeah, that's a very dangerous offense over there with Tua and Jaylen and Tyreek Hill. I mean, that's a very, very deadly offense. I would argue that might be the most dangerous offense in the NFL.
I mean, we saw it last year when they dropped 63 points on the Denver Broncos. I mean, there's such a fast offense and dynamic because not only do you have Tua, Tyreek, Waddle, you have Achane in the backfield, who is just so shifty. His ability to get into wide open field is unmatched. I haven't seen a running back like him since Barry Sanders.
Yeah. The speed is the killer for sure with that offense. I would definitely say they're probably the fastest offense in the NFL. The Ravens are obviously up there with Lamar and Zay Flowers. They got a lot of speed over there as well. San Fran is obviously a very good offense, but I think they're more of a West Coast style offense. They don't quite have that speed that Miami has. Miami is just sort of a, super aggressive, like sling it type of offense. Very, very explosive. So I'm looking forward to watching them play this year.
And then there's Odell Beckham.
Yeah.
How does he fit in that offense?
That's been my question since they signed him. They gave him, I believe, $3 million fully guaranteed.
Yep.
With a $1.79 million signing bonus for 1 year. The incentives on that contract for things like catches and touchdowns and all that stuff push that maximum earning to $8.25 million. Now, I don't know if I see him hitting that because it hasn't really been all that impressive recently.
Since he left the Giants.
Yeah. I think he's still got a lot in the tank, but I just don't know if he. I don't know. I don't know if he can find an offense that he fits in with, and I think when you have an offense that already has Tyreek and Jaylen Waddle, I mean, you could use him as a slot receiver, but
I think that's the big catch-22 there, though, isn't it? He is coming into an offense that has two very established receivers. He isn't going to be the number 2 receiver. He's going to be the number 3 receiver.
right.
Behind Jaylen, behind Tyreek Hill. So he's no longer going to be the guy who's getting double, triple covered.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to single coverage matched up against a slot cornerback.
That is the other thing. Having all that talent forces defenses to make a lot of assignment decisions, which is something that could add to how deadly they already are with that type of speed on their offense. It'll be interesting to watch, but I don't know if I see Odell having a huge impact. It kind of feels like he's maybe there to, hate to word it like this, feels like he's maybe there to be a distraction for defenses. I just don't know if I see him being the biggest contributor on the team.
Most definitely not, no. And I don't think that's why he was brought in to be the biggest contributor.
Yeah, he's also getting up there in age. I don't have his age in front of me, but he's definitely up there. He's been around a while. Obviously, he signed a deal with the Ravens last year. Didn't do a whole lot for them either. So, yeah, I don't know.
He's 31 years old.
31.
Yep.
For a wide receiver, that's
Yeah.
got a couple years left in you. That's about it. But the other thing is, we want to get into Tua's contract. That's coming up in 2025. The Dolphins, according to overthecap.com, are I believe now, after this past Saturday, have around $20 million in cap space, if I'm not mistaken. They had about 1.3 to 1.4 before that, and then Xavier Howard's contract was supposed to come off the books, yesterday, Saturday. So they should now have right around 19 to 20 million in cap space. I'm just wondering how they're going to use that. And with Tua's contract coming up, we talk about how much he's worth. We're seeing people in the same bracket as him get deals for about $50 million a year. You mentioned some off recording. Who do you got that's making what at his position?
Yeah, so, if we look at the highest paid quarterbacks all the way down the list, right? I mean, you have Joe Burrow. You have Joe Burrow at 5 years, $255 million, which is $55 million per year. Jared Goff at 5 years, $212 million. We talked about him 2 weeks ago. That's $53 million per year. Justin Herbert, five years, $262 million, $52 million a year. Lamar Jackson just under him at 5 years, $260 million, $52 million per year. Then you have Jalen Hurts at 5 years, $255 million. That's $51 million per year. And I think Tua's going to fall right under there at like a $50.5 million or $50 million.
Yep.
Because under him is Kyler Murray, who is at like $49 million.
Right.
So I would put Jalen Hurts at around a 5-year contract worth about $250 million.
So here's my question. With him being prone to a few injuries in college, and then he had that big concussion, which was terrifying to watch. I can't even believe he's still playing. Miami also seems pretty fixated on making other signings. So I'm curious if you think that they're going to be able to give him what his market value is and what he's asking for. Do you think Miami's going to be able to match that?
Yeah, I think so, and I think they have to. They're going to have to restructure. They're going to have to work on contracts and get to where they can keep Tua, because look at where they were at before Tua. Look, the Ryan Fitzpatrick days.
Yeah.
It was terrible. Couldn't watch Miami football.
I mean, have they really had a star quarterback since Dan Marino?
I mean, no, they really haven't.
So I think the quarterback market is very saturated, but when you have a guy that's proven himself, especially with that offense, I think it's important to do everything you can to keep him. So,
but speaking of the offense, that's the one major question that's been bothering me: is Tua good, or is his offense good?
That is the major question with, it seems like, every quarterback. If we take him out of that offense, would he still be as good as he is in that offense with Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle?
Or if we put somebody else in that offense?
Yeah. And I think that's the question, which is kind of crazy about quarterbacks. Really, we see across the board a lot of quarterback, even guys like Tom Brady, are make a whole career out of who's around them. So I think that's just as important.
Yeah.
I think with that Jaylen Waddle extension, if they could get Tua locked up, I think Miami's going to be set to have a lot of really, really strong years. So
I could agree with that.
Tua did have 4,600 passing yards last year, 29 touchdowns, 14 picks, quarterback rating of 101.1. Before that, the previous year, he was about 1,000 yards shy of that, around the same amount of touchdowns, few less.
Wasn't that his concussion year?
It was, which is, I mean, for him to have suffered that severe. At what point, do we remember what point of the season that was? I don't remember when it was, but those are still pretty good numbers for somebody that was laid out like that. I feel like 2021 might have been, I can't remember. Because 2021 he only had 2,600 yards.
Tua had that concussion in a Week 3 game against the Bills in 2022.
Okay, so it was 2022. Did he come back that season? He did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's posted really good numbers.
And I was one among those people who said Tua should just hang up the cleats.
Yeah, that was a scary injury. Very scary injury. That was one of the scariest concussions I've seen since I've been watching football. But moving along, we're going to go into some professional wrestling stuff. A lot of guys that would watch a sports podcast may not be into professional wrestling. But I got to tell you, professional wrestling is at an all-time high. I think it's at its biggest peak that we've seen since really the Attitude Era. It's very exciting. A lot of fun to watch. Very entertaining stuff over there. So
if it was so bad, would Logan Paul be wrestling? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of big guest appeaprences and things like that as well.
Logan Paul, Pat McAfee.
Shout out to Pat. He's our hero, our knight in shining armor. But we're also going to talk about some stuff outside of WWE. For those that don't know, AEW is a company, basically an independent promotion that is WWE's really only competition, biggest competition that we've seen since, the 90s, I believe, when they had, before they bought out all their competition. But AEW came along a few years ago, founded by some guys alongside Cody Rhodes, actually, who wrestles in WWE now. But AEW actually had a pretty big return this past Saturday for their pay-per-view, which was Double or Nothing.
To the rescue, man. May I add?
Yep. MJF, which is AEW's biggest name, think Roman Reigns, but for AEW. He returned to confront Adam Cole, shook his hand, and then hit him with a low blow in true MJF fashion. And that's a long-awaited return since they started that feud late last year, I believe. And people were wondering if he might end up signing with WWE. And he showed up, promised people he wasn't leaving, so now he's locked up with AEW. Very, very big return.
Oh, absolutely MJF. Big. I mean, like I said, for a while there, AEW was faltering a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
MJF's return was probably at the best time you could have it at.
Yep. Since that CM Punk departure and him returning to WWE and all the drama that happened backstage in AEW, how they turned all that sort of into a storyline, and now they've got MJF returning. I think AEW's red hot again, and they can finally be some actual competition for WWE, which is crazy to think. But they're definitely improving a lot over what I've been seeing lately. Very excited to see where they go and what the fallout from that pay-per-view brings. But we're also going to get into the WWE pay-per-view. But before we do, I want to talk about Triple H extending...
Before we get that, I have one more AEW topic.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about Adam Copeland's injury.
I completely forgot about that.
Yep. Again, this happened at the same pay-per-view, right?
Yep.
It was a barbed wire steel cage match.
Of course.
Against Malachi Black. And he suffered a fractured tibia.
Yep. Sure
jumping off of the top of the steel cage. How old is Adam Copeland? Too old to be doing stunts like that.
Way too old to be doing stunts like that. I mean, I love the guy. For those that don't know who Adam Copeland is, that is formerly known as Edge.
You think you would know a guy. You think you would know me.
Yeah, you would think you would know. But he is 50 years old, according to what I just Googled.
Yeah, that's a little old to be doing that. I mean,
especially if you're going to be landing as awkwardly as he landed. I don't know if you saw the clip.
Oh, I did. It was gruesome.
I don't know why he landed like that.
I do have a quote here from a fellow wrestler, Bubba Ray Dudley. Okay, yeah. Quote here from Bubba Ray Dudley. Basically saying, best wishes to Adam Copeland, brother. You didn't have to do that. You already got your WrestleMania moment when you speared Jeff Hardy in midair at WrestleMania 17.
One of my favorite spears.
Yeah,
of all
which
time.
is one insane moment. But that's the point. He had his moment that put him on the map. He's already an established superstar.
Yeah.
There's a reason why he was able to go to AEW and immediately get a crowd reaction. Became top of wrestling news for months on end.
Mm-hmm.
His popularity has died out in AEW. The nostalgia has worn off.
Yep.
But it was rough seeing one of my heroes go down like that.
Yeah, he seemed like he landed on his feet for some reason. He was trying to put one of the other guys through a table from the top of the cage, and he seemed to just jump straight down onto his feet and end up fracturing his, what was it that he fractured?
Tibia.
Yep. He posted a picture of his x-ray. It was not good.
No, it was
good
not.
at all. And for him to be that old and have an injury like that is also not good. So we'll see what his future brings. But now we can head over to the WWE, where Triple H has extended an in-ring invitation to star quarterback Patrick Mahomes after Patrick Mahomes recently was at Monday Night Raw in the front row. He put out a tweet saying that he would like to get in the ring, and Triple H has extended that invitation to him.
That would be insane, like absolutely insane.
Yeah, I can't really see him doing much more than like a quick segment, but
I mean,
also you have to make sure the guy doesn't get hurt.
That's true, but maybe if he retires, I could see him getting in there and helping out Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Because like, if you don't know, Patrick Mahomes and Logan Paul are really good friends. That's the reason why he was ringside in Kansas City. He was with Logan.
Yeah, he was involved in their match a little bit.
Yeah, so I would love to see Patrick Mahomes enter a ring. I don't want to see him injured, but I could see him doing something during like SummerSlam or something, you know?
Right. Yeah, it would be a cool appearance for sure. I mean, with him being the biggest quarterback in football, that would be huge for WWE as well. They've also recently announced some pay-per-view news. They announced that SummerSlam in 2026 is going to be a 2-night event, first time in SummerSlam history that we've seen a 2-night SummerSlam, if I'm not mistaken. It'll be at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. That's August 1st and 2nd in 2026. How do you feel about that 2-night SummerSlam?
I absolutely love it. I do. Let's get ahead of it. We're seeing a lot of talent arising on the roster. A lot of people not given the chance. So 2-night SummerSlam and 2-night WrestleMania, the two biggest pay-per-views. In my opinion, SummerSlam started to feel like it wasn't big enough because WrestleMania is 2 nights. Like, obviously, WrestleMania is the event of the year, but SummerSlam was starting to feel like just every other A-tier pay-per-view besides WrestleMania. It felt like Survivor Series or it felt like the Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. Not that the Royal Rumble or Survivor Series are bad, but regardless, I like the idea. I wanted to execute it good. Let's not have any cannon fodder for matches on the card.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a good move for them because I don't know if it's quite 6 months from WrestleMania, but it's almost at that halfway point. So to have a 2-night event at the halfway point and then have WrestleMania be a 2-night event I think that's a good move for them. And I think, obviously, with all the talent they have over there, it allows us to get a glimpse at some more people. You can put on more matches when you have more time. So I'm all for it. I think it'll make it a better product. More hype around it and all that stuff, too. But also, they've announced, I believe, the first announcement for the next pay-per-view, which is going to be June 15th in the UK. That's Clash at the Castle. That'll be Drew McIntyre.
Hometown hero.
Yep. Taking on Damian Priest, who is the current World Heavyweight Champion. And, again, that's at Clash at the Castle, June 15th. The next pay-per-view for WWE. How do you feel about that matchup?
I love it. I think Drew McIntyre is one of the hottest heels in the company. It's going to be weird seeing him back in that babyface role since he's been on this run. But they've already shown fans are behind Drew McIntyre. They were behind him when he won at WrestleMania against Seth Rollins. They still love to see him get cashed in on. That was awesome. And now he's facing the guy who cashed in on him.
Yeah, yep.
So this is it'll be interesting. I could definitely see Drew McIntyre winning this match, but I think there's going to be some interference.
Right.
with CM Punk.
Yeah, I could definitely see that for sure. And I think the roof is going to blow off the place for Drew McIntyre. And I think if CM Punk shows up, he's probably going to get booed out of the building. But it'll make for a really entertaining pay-per-view.
It'd be interesting to see those roles reversed for a little bit. You know, CM Punk has been the in-house favorite for a while now.
Yeah. I really want to see CM Punk as a heel. I'm going to be honest with you. The baby face is not doing it for me. It's not doing it.
Yeah. You know, I respect that take. I feel like CM Punk was always really good as a heel.
Yeah. I mean, he's all right as a baby face. Like, the whole, like, redemption arc is cool, whatever, from all the drama he had backstage. But, I don't know. I'm kind of over it. I just want to see him turn heel and go crazy.
You kind of have to start turning him heel heading into this supposed storyline that I had with him and Seth Rollins.
Yep. Obviously, that's way down the pipe, but for now, we've got Damian and Drew, and we'll see what that brings. That'll probably set some more stuff up for the future. And we've also got another announcement. WWE has announced the Crown Jewel Premium Live event, November 2nd, 2024 in Saudi Arabia. And I don't believe they've announced. That's a long ways away. Obviously, they haven't announced any matches or anything like that. But, again, that's in Saudi Arabia. Those crowds are usually pretty crazy as well, kind of like that French crowd we saw.
Yeah, and one thing, Crown Jewel kind of holds a special place in my heart now. Because before it was just another Saudi Arabian pay-per-view, right?
Right.
Which is nothing bad. But Crown Jewel was one of the first pay-per-views that Triple H took over.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it was Triple H's first full controlled pay-per-view or premium live event. I'm dating myself. That he took over since Vince McMahon left the company, and that was the start of these amazing premium live events where you sit there and you're like, it's only a 4-match card, and it's still amazing.
Right.
Still memorable, and it makes me excited now anytime they go to Saudi Arabia because. Well, any foreign place has been amazing. They've been putting on great matches. And it's really turning this whole, like, WWE's an American thing to WWE's worldwide.
Yeah, which is cool to see as sort of part of the comeback of professional wrestling where a lot of people are getting into it. It's almost becoming cool again to be into professional wrestling.
It is. And I can't wait to see this crowd coming up at Clash of the Castle.
Yeah, they're going to be on fire for sure.
Yeah, but speaking of foreign crowds.
Yeah, also in Saudi Arabia was the recent PLE King and Queen of the Ring.
What do we think of the PLE in general here?
I thought it was solid. The people that I thought would advance to the finals in the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments were not the people I picked at all. But as far as quality of the matches and stuff, I thought it was solid. It wasn't anything crazy. Nothing really too unexpected, but I thought it was solid.
Yeah. I can see that sentiment. You said it 5 times.
I thought it was solid.
I can add that out if you want.
It was solid, though.
But let's start it off with the start of the match. Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan. Before we dive into the match, I just want to talk about it felt nice to see this Saudi Arabian crowd who's historically been kind of... what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of impartial to any of the female competitors.
Right.
They really got behind the women on this card.
Mm-hmm.
They were really behind Becky Lynch. They had a lot of fun booing Liv Morgan. It was obvious who their favorite was. How'd you feel about the match?
I thought it was decent. Again, nothing crazy really. I had Liv beating Becky, and that's what happened. She ended up beating her for that women's world title. We saw Rhea go down, what was that, right after WrestleMania, I think? And Becky kind of came back to fill her place as champion. And then, obviously, Liv had that storyline with Rhea before she got hurt. So now that Liv is champion, ideally when Rhea comes back, she can resume that storyline with her, and that should be pretty interesting as well. So I had Liv winning. There's just more of a reason for her to win. I enjoy watching her wrestle. I don't think she's the best of the best, but I've been enjoying her character enough to enjoy that win. So I thought it was a decent match, predictable outcome for me. And we go into that rematch a little bit after we discuss the rest of the pay-per-view. But what was the next match on that pay-per-view? Premium live event.
That was Sami Zayn, Chad Gable, and Bronson Reed in a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. And I'll let you give your thoughts first, and then I'll go into mine.
Yeah, Sami retained the Intercontinental title against Chad and Bronson. I don't really know why Bronson was there, at least going into it. I'll say I didn't know why Bronson was there. But I will say he added enough to the match for me to have enjoyed it. I thought it was a really, really good match. I thought it was, for an Intercontinental title match, had just about everything you want. Can't really ask for much more in a quote-unquote mid-card title match. Obviously, Sami's continuing that feud with Chad Gable, who turned on him a few weeks back. I think, obviously, that's the main selling point for that match. So I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. Again, nothing insane, but I'm looking forward to seeing where they're going with Sami and Chad in the future.
I absolutely love this match. I'm a big Sami Zayn fan. One of the reasons why I got back into the WWE in the first place. Mm-hmm. But I think that this match showcased all three of the competitors' talents. Sami Zayn's ability to overcome Chad Gable's ability to be a freak athlete.
Yep.
And Bronson Reed's ability to be this surprisingly athletic big guy.
He is. He has no business doing what he does at that size.
I mean, they put Bronson Reed's strength and athleticism together, and they had Chad Gable's amazing feat of strength, that double German suplex with over 500 pounds of weight.
That was a really cool spot.
And then the Otis's hesitation that results in Chad Gable getting hit when Sami Zayn moved out of the way.
Yeah, that's the other story Chad's in, is that seemingly impending breakup for the Alpha Academy, which is the stable he's in. So that's been interesting to follow, too.
And I think this was a fun and emotional match. It was nice seeing the crowd cheer for Sami, because this is Sami's only third time in Saudi Arabia, because he was previously not allowed there.
Yeah, and obviously he's originally of Arabic descent, so that's big for him. The crowd loves him. So I thought it was really cool that he went over there. And, I mean, as Intercontinental Champion, so far I'm pretty pleased with his reign. He's sort of come into that, relatable type of character where he's not super jacked, kind of just looks like a normal guy. And I'm having fun rooting for the guy, I really am.
Yep, and I think one of my favorite parts was the crowd starting the "You Suck" chants towards Chad Gable, which, if you don't know, that was most infamously used against Kurt Angle back in the day. So Chad's starting to get some recognition for how good he's doing. I mean, he pays homage to Kurt a lot.
Yeah, he does. And I will say those three guys actually maybe not surprisingly, but with Bronson Reed in the mix again going into it, I didn't know what to expect from him. I think all three of them meshed really well. They had really good chemistry in that match.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think this was one of the best matches on the card. I think only one match did better. But moving on, we have Nia Jax versus Lyra Valkyria.
Yep.
I didn't have this match in my books.
Nope, me neither.
The rest of the picks I got correct. This one, no.
No, I was way off.
But if you gave me the option between these two people, I would have probably picked Nia Jax. I'm saying that in retrospect.
Right.
What do you think of the match?
I thought it was good. I thought Lyra had a really strong showing. She kind of surprised me. For her to have just been called up from NXT recently, I think during the draft she was called up.
Yep.
And she's putting on just banger after banger. So she's doing really well and proving that she can hang with the best of the best. And like you talked about in one of our previous episodes, Nia's come a long way as well. Used to hate on her a lot because she was unsafe. Just wasn't a lot of fun to watch. She's gotten a lot better in the ring as well. And I think they were perfect opponents for each other.
Just in the ring. Her promo skills still suck.
Yeah, I don't...
I should be careful. She's going to squash me.
Yeah, you don't want that.
I thought this was a pretty good match. I wouldn't say this was close to one of the best matches on the card. I did like the narrative they were pushing. It really felt for a couple seconds that Lyra could pull off the upset here. Mm-hmm. But Nia Jax came out on top. She's now set to face Bayley at SummerSlam. How do we feel about that upcoming match?
I don't know how to feel about it because, to be honest with you, I have a lot of respect for how far Nia's come. I have a lot of respect for Bayley. I'm not the biggest fan of either of them, I got to be honest with you. They're not really... They're pretty far towards the bottom of my list in terms of women's talent in WWE. So, I don't know if I'm really excited for that, to be honest with you.
That's a fair opinion. I said fair, not right.
How do you feel about it?
I think it's going to be a great match. Now, keep in mind, things could change. Bayley might not be champion by the time SummerSlam comes around, but I have to say I love Bayley's promo skills. She's a pretty decent competitor. She knows how to run a face. She knows how to run a heel. I wouldn't say she's exceptional at either, though.
Right.
So
sort of jack of all trades.
Yeah.
I mean, she did the way that they sort of booked that turn with damage control. I thought that was booked perfectly. They did that perfectly for her to be in the best position possible as a babyface champion.
But I'm excited to see how this match plays out.
I mean, I hope they surprise me. It's nothing against them. It's just their move sets. They don't excite me. They don't really have any moves where I'm like super impressed by them. I mean, they're both very good at what they do. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I'm not really a fan of them.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, moving on. We have the other king. Not other. That was the Queen of the Ring finale. This is the King of the Ring finale.
The male Queen of the Ring.
the male Queen of the Ring finale. We have the male Gunther versus Randy Orton. How do we feel about this match?
I thought that one was really good. It was pretty much what I expected it would be, but with it being, despite the fact that it was extremely entertaining all the way through, and they had really good chemistry as well, that finish though was something else, and I don't think it was planned to be that way.
That's practically what I had too. I mean, I loved every aspect of this match, aside the ending.
Yeah.
And the ending wasn't bad. You know, Gunther would take that 10 times out of 10 times because, like, he's a heel character.
I will say that.
So it's nice seeing the face get screwed over for the heel. Now, if this was like Randy's match and he didn't shoulder down all the way, I wouldn't like it as much. You know, whatever. Screwing ending aside, this was a technical masterpiece.
It was.
It was perfect. Both competitors were so savvy, with Gunther targeting Randy's bad knee, with Gunther rolling out of the ring when Randy RKO'd him, just to prevent Randy from pinning.
Yeah. I will say the finishing sequence itself was pretty good.
Yeah.
But the actual finish with Randy's shoulders not being down was, again, I don't think that was a planned thing. But camera zoomed directly on them shoulders, very clearly not on the mat when that referee counted to 3.
Yeah. And I guess the next question about this match would be, do you see them ever repeating this feud? Because I feel like this was a great match.
I don't know. I feel like I think they could do more with it, but I just don't know if there's a reason for them to. And I'm sure they already have plans with Gunther being the King of the Ring. And, I mean, I can't really see Randy fitting into that unless they give him, like, a one-off rematch type of deal.
Fair.
But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I see him really revisiting that anytime soon. They could use it for ammo in the future if they want to come back to it. But, yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things, unfortunately. I think we might just end up having to get over it.
Yep. Well, this takes me to my next announced SummerSlam match. We have Gunther versus whoever holds the World Heavyweight title going into SummerSlam. Mm-hmm. And I say that because we already have a confirmed match between Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. Can we expect Gunther to go in and win here? I think he can.
I think it's a possibility. I think they haven't really done anything with him except for book him as a super strong, really a super strong heel. But also, if he was a babyface, I think it would be the same case. I think they'd still be booking him as sort of a powerhouse. And I think, obviously, with Brock Lesnar not really being a part of the situation anymore, I think they kind of need sort of a big bad guy to come in and do the type of things he does. I'm interested to see what happens with Imperium, his faction. I think it's just
not really a faction anymore.
Yeah, it's just Ludwig now, because I think I'm wondering if Giovanni could end up coming to cost him at some point. But I believe they're on different brands, if I remember correctly. So I don't know how all that'll go, but I think there's a chance with everything that he has going on that Gunther could very well be champion. But I'd say I wouldn't expect it. I'll put it that way.
I mean, going to it, from my point of view, this doesn't look like it can end in any way of it being a heel versus heel match unless they make Damian Priest a face.
Right. Yeah, that's the only way to do it, and they've kind of been leaning towards that, but I'm just wondering when they're going to pull the trigger, because SummerSlam is sort of right around the corner at this point, so they don't have a whole lot of time to do it. Obviously, they've a lot of faction stuff going on lately. Damian's faction included, obviously, the Judgment Day. They've been sort of leaning towards some type of turn between those guys, so that'll be kind of wild to follow. I'm just wondering when they're going to pull the trigger, and if they're going to be able to do it before SummerSlam, because I wouldn't want it to be rushed. Everything's been much longer-term storytelling since Triple H took over, so I don't know. It's kind of hard to follow, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the main event, we have Cody Rhodes versus Logan Paul.
That match was my favorite match of the whole Premium Live event. I would personally, though I don't really usually take my time to rate matches, I would definitely give this one 5 stars. This had every single thing you could ever ask for in a championship match. It had interference. It had sort of attempts at cheating, and I think it actually had successful cheating, but then kickouts type deal. I think Logan tried to use the brass knuckles at one point.
He did use the brass knuckles.
Did he?
Yep, he punched Cody. Cody came off the steel steps.
Yep.
He jumped at him on the table, and he jumped up and punched him,
Yep. But Logan ended up showboating a lot, which was what kind of ended up costing him in the end. And then they had some interference from, I don't know, who was, do we know who the guy was that interfered?
I mean, I definitely know I don't know his name, but I know he was he's a Saudi Arabian actor.
Okay, so they kind of did that for the local crowd, obviously. Most people probably had no idea who he was, and that's fine. He kind of interfered and helped Cody win. I thought the finish was solid, in my opinion. I thought it was a pretty good finish. I thought it had a nice build through it. It had some cool spots. That spot where Logan put Cody through the table and they had the aerial drone shot of it. I thought that was a really cool spot. Again, it had everything you want. And I think it also, with everything being so well executed, I think it elevates both Cody's title reign and Logan's legitimacy as a WWE performer.
The match left a lot more questions than it did. First of all, are prime bottles not considered weapons now?
Right.
Because Cody definitely smashed Logan over the head with his own prime bottle.
Well, they do always fall back on the excuse that it's at the referee's discretion. So
fair point. But then you had Logan's goon push Cody.
Yep.
Is that not a disqualification?
Yeah, it's interesting when they blur the lines like that, but with there being so much action in it, I think you tend to, at least when you have a short attention span like me, you tend to sort of look past that type of thing. So
what are we talking about again? I'm kidding, obviously. I love this match. I think this match was great. I would have loved to see it as a champion versus champion match.
Yeah.
Kind of sad it didn't go that way. There's so many ways. Cody could have relinquished the title afterwards, whatever. Because to me, it feels like if it's not a champion versus champion match, what has Logan done to deserve a championship opportunity against Cody Rhodes?
Mm-hmm.
Besides, most likely what happened was the Saudi and Arabian event makers were like, I kind of want to see Cody and Logan fight it out.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably what happened.
Yeah, it was an interesting decision to not put the U.S. title on the line. They originally said they were going to, and then Logan changed that. Cody accepted for some reason. I thought maybe that would mean that there would be some type of other interference with, the Uncle Howdy stuff looming. Nothing happened with that, so It was an interesting decision. I don't know why they ever advertised it as a title-for-title match, but it was a good match nonetheless.
I agree. But the other things I wanted to mention is this was a fantastic match. I can't quite give it the 5 stars because I didn't like the finish. Cody's kind of turning to a Super Cody thing, like Super Cena.
Yeah, true.
And I'm still one of the biggest John Cena fans out there, but Super Cena was kind of ridiculous. Cody kicking out of the knockout punch, kicking out of getting hit in the stomach with brass knuckles, kicking out of a frog splash through the announce table. He was kicking out of everything.
Right.
But then he hit the trifecta of Crossroads.
Yep.
For the match finish. To me, this is Cody's third fantastic, outstanding performance in a row at premium live events. He had a great showing at WrestleMania against Roman. A true 5-star match against AJ Styles. And then again, a really good showing. The match itself, 5 stars. The ending, take some points away.
Yep.
Against Logan. So it shows that Cody can work with so many different talents. Because, sure, AJ and Logan are kind of similar, but Roman is nothing like them.
Right.
Who do you want to see in the future for Cody match?
That's a tough question because there's so many people involved in other stories right now. It feels like everybody's kind of already booked for long-term stories. I don't know. It's kind of like you said. I feel like they're kind of sort of holding him over for when that Roman Reigns stuff continues. Obviously, The Rock eventually will come back and finish that storyline. Roman will come back with the Bloodline storyline and all that. So I feel like they're kind of just taking it month by month until that happens.
Yeah, there was that real awkward moment with The Rock and Cody in the ring.
Yeah.
Really awkward. And that pretty much solidified for me. Like, that's the main feud they're going to push. Everyone else is cannon fodder. Obviously, they're trying to repeat AJ versus Cody. Mm-hmm. Is that too soon?
I mean, I don't think so. I think I could watch AJ and Cody all day, to be honest with you. I also think AJ is one of the few guys that doesn't have anything else really going on right now, story-wise. So I think it makes sense. I wasn't a big fan of the segment on SmackDown that led to it, though. Felt very predictable. AJ came out and allegedly was maybe announcing his retirement, came out in a suit, brought Cody out and, was all nice to him, buttering him up, and then he turned on him. Just felt very predictable. But the feud itself, I'm sure, is going to be good. I have no doubt that that'll be a show-stealing match regardless.
I mean, I wouldn't really say predictable is bad, though.
That's true.
And sure, like there was a lot of... Because people have been drawing comparisons between this fake retirement AJ did and Mark Henry's fake retirement.
Yep, I saw that a lot.
But no, I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing. I kind of like the way it was set up. AJ plays a really good in-betweener, where when it feels like he's not going to turn, it feels natural. It feels like he turns, it feels natural.
Yep.
So that could have went either way. Like, he could have sat there, shook everyone's hand, and said, like, I'm done with the WWE, walked out.
Right.
And I'd be like, wow, what a performance.
Yeah.
Or he could have done that, I don't know if you saw, but that Styles clash off the steps was such a dangerous move.
Yep.
I wouldn't trust any other wrestler besides AJ Styles to do that. Today.
Absolutely. One of the safest wrestlers out there. But I wouldn't mind seeing it again. I'd watch it over and over, to be honest with you.
I do every time before I go to bed.
The other thing you wanted to talk about was that rematch on Raw this past week.
Yep.
After that PLE. We had Liv Morgan going up against Becky again in a rematch. Was that the steel cage match, right?
Yep. No broken legs in this match.
Which is I know that's your absolute favorite match type.
Hey, I love steel cage matches.
Yeah. So
I don't. It makes no sense.
It does make no sense.
So why did Dominic even come out to open up the door when the ref will do it if you just motion to them, you know?
Right, yeah.
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 It doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense. But with Dominic being involved, obviously we talked about how Rhea was involved with Liv earlier on. And obviously Dominic is involved with Rhea, so therefore Dominic is now involved with Liv until Rhea comes back. He ended up getting involved in that steel cage match, came out to open the door so that Becky could get out and Liv would lose the title. Braun Strowman came out, trucked through a bunch of people. I believe he hit Dom into the door, which hit Becky and allowed Liv to win the match and retain the title. And then Liv Morgan straight up sexually assaulted Dominic Mysterio. I mean, let's call it what it was.
Liv Morgan's a lucky gal.
So she came out and she made out with Dominic Mysterio right before the show went off air, which is interesting because Dominic has obviously the storyline with Rhea being with her. So
yeah,
and
with mommy.
Yeah.
First thing I want to say is, like, if Becky does choose to leave the WWE and pursue other things, maybe motherhood, maybe AEW, TNA, there's so many things she could do. If that's the path she decides, I mean, she was a great wrestler. She was probably a future Hall of Famer. She had a really good showing the last 2 matches with Liv Morgan. I wouldn't say they were her best matches she put on, but they were definitely really good matches. I don't like that they're making Liv already look like a weak champion.
Right.
Even though it was an accidental help from Dominic. He's not here tonight, but I do agree with Saquon. She's been a weak champion, you know? Yeah. Historically, I want to see more of her winning matches.
Yeah, I would agree with that. She is a heel now, so it kind of flies a little easier, but I would also kind of like to see her go all out because I think she has a lot more potential than what she's been able to showcase so far. So I'm a fan of hers. I like watching her perform for various reasons. But I think her reign so far has, I don't know if I would say that it's been interesting. It's kind of just been, it's been meh for me until Rhea comes back. I'm just waiting for that moment when Rhea comes back, to be honest.
I mean, that's the major feud I'm looking forward to when Rhea comes back. And I don't know if you want to start transitioning her from being a heel to a face. So when Rhea comes back, it could be a heel versus face. Or maybe you bring Rhea back as a face.
Right.
Like, I don't know how you would spin that story. Maybe some, like, I don't know, Liv takes Dominic and...
I feel like
I don't know.
Dominic's the odd factor because I feel like Rhea could easily come back as a babyface. Like, she's going to get a very warm welcome when she comes back and that music hits. But how does Dom fit in? Because he's such a good heel.
He can only be a heel.
Yeah, I can't see him.
There are very few people who will never be able to be a face, and Dominic is one of them.
Yeah.
He was a face.
Yep.
And he sucked. No one liked him.
Right. If he was a babyface without Ray, I don't think it would work.
Even with Ray, it didn't work.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. That's going to be something else to follow. But yeah, I don't think Dom's going to turn babyface. I think Rhea could. We'll see how that whole situation develops. But during that match, or I should say after that match, that rematch with Becky seemingly said goodbye to the Raw crowd and to wrestling fans around the world. She was seen emotional. Obviously, her contract is up soon, I believe, or it might already be up. I don't remember when exactly it's up. But her contract with WWE is allegedly up soon. She, according to our research, has not renewed that contract as far as we know. So
it ran up yesterday.
Okay. So if that's to be believed, then the question is, what is next for Becky? But also, if they're, if I don't know. I feel like Becky's such a staple in WWE that she could easily just say she wants time off and not sign a contract until she's ready to come back. But I don't know. I can't really see her going anywhere else. But
not with Seth just recently re-signing a contract himself.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Her and Seth obviously have a child together, both performers in the WWE. Maybe she just wants time to be at home with her child. I mean, I could see that being the case probably more than any other outcome.
But she could make some big money going to AEW, too.
She could. I'm sure she'd get a fat check for it. They love to sign ex-WWE people over there.
Ask Rhonda. How's she doing over there in AEW? You heard from her lately?
I have not. I don't even follow her anymore. I haven't followed her since she had that
MMA match against Shayna Baszler.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a character. Talked a lot of trash about the WWE right after she left. Apparently, she wrote a whole book about it. That was crazy. I don't know.
Good thing I can't read.
Yeah, there's a lot to follow in the sports world right now. Did you have anything else in your notes that you wanted to talk about?
I do not.
All right, I guess that about wraps us up. I think we did all right without Saquon. Time to kick him off the... No, I'm just kidding.
Saquon, this is your resignation letter?
We do obviously miss Saquon. It's a joke. But he will hopefully be back next time around. We'd like to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let us know in the comments what other topics you'd like to see us talk about. Obviously, the next time we come around, we'll probably be talking, I believe the NBA Finals will either be in full swing or they'll be over by the time.
2 weeks from now, I'm pretty sure that might be over.
So, hopefully we'll be able to talk about that.
With that Celtics sweep.
Yep, Celtics sweep. I'm calling it. You heard it here first. But yeah, let us know in the comments what you want to see us talk about. Be sure to keep an eye out in the description for our social media and all that whenever we finally decide to get it set up. We have a guy that said he would set it up and then he didn't. Who's not here right now to defend himself. But anyways.
Did he say that?
Yeah, he said it at some point. He probably forgot. That's fine. Either way, keep an eye out for all that. Make sure to subscribe. It's free and it helps us out a ton. So we appreciate you tuning in and we'll catch you in the next one. It's been real.